Good morning, dear students. Today, we are going to discuss about amino acid metabolism. As we know very well about amino acids are the polymers of proteins. So we should know about here protein. Proteins are the most abundant organic compounds and constitute a major part of the body dry weight, that is 10 to 12 kg in adult. These perform a wide variety of structural and dynamic functions in the body. So those structural and dynamic functions that will be performed like enzymes, hormones, clotting factors, receptors. Proteins are nitrogen containing macromolecules consisting of L-alpha amino acids as the repeating unit. And naturally, the 20 standard amino acids are found in proteins. Half of can be synthesized by the body and half are supplied through the diet. The proteins, the amino acids which are synthesizing in the body is called as a non-essential amino acids. The amino acids which we are supplying through the diet, that is which cannot be synthesized in the body, is called as a non-essential amino acids, essential amino acids. So the non-essential amino acids is nothing but the amino acids which is synthesizing in the body is called as a non-essential amino acids. The amino acids which we are supplying through the diet is called as a essential amino acids. The proteins on degradation, it will release the individual amino acids. So that's nothing but the proteins undergoes hydrolysis, it will release the individual amino acids. Each amino acid undergoes its own metabolism and perform a specific functions. Some amino acids serve as a precursor for the synthesis of many biologically important compounds. Certain amino acids may directly act as neurotransmitters, for example, glycine, aspartate, and glutamate. Coming to the amino acid pool. So until now we discussed about 20 standard amino acids are there. In the 20 standard amino acids, 10 essential amino acids and 10 non-essential amino acids. The 10 essential amino acids will be synthesizing in the body, and non-essential amino acids will be synthesizing in the body, and essential amino acids is supplying through the diet. So then coming to the amino acid pool, about 100 grams of free amino acids which represent the amino acid pool of the body. So the glutamate and glutamine together constitute about 50% and essential amino acids about 10% of the body pool, 100 grams. The concentration of intracellular amino acids is always higher than the extracellular amino acids. So these amino acids will be enter into the cell against a concentration gradient. Then coming to the source of amino acid pool, the turnover of the body intake of dietary protein and the synthesis of non-essential amino acids contribute the body amino acid pool. So here the turnover of the body intake of dietary protein and the synthesis of non-essential amino acids will contribute the body amino acid pool. So what is the protein turnover here? The proteins in the body in a dynamic state. The proteins will be present in the body in a dynamic state. So about 300 to 400 grams of proteins per day is constantly degrading and synthesizing, which is represent the body turnover. So whatever the proteins are synthesizing in the body, like 300 to 400 grams of proteins is constantly degrading and synthesizing, that will be represented as a protein turnover. Then coming to the control of protein turnover, the turnover of the protein is influenced by the many factors. So a small polypeptide called ubiquitin, it possesses the molecular weight 8500 and which attacks with the protein and facilitate the degradation. Certain proteins with amino acid sequence like proline, glutamine, serine and threonine are rapidly degraded. Then coming to the dietary protein, so there is a regular loss of nitrogen from the body due to degradation of amino acids. About 30 to 50 grams of protein is lost every day. So this amount of protein is supplied through the diet to maintain nitrogen balance. So whatever the loss of protein is there, that is 30 to 50 grams of protein will be, 30 to 50 grams of protein is losing every day. So that will be supplied through the diet to maintain that particular nitrogen balance. There is no storage form of amino acids in the body. Excess intake of amino acids is oxidized to provide energy. Coming to the utilization of amino acids from the body. Proteins function as enzymes, hormones, immunoproteins, and contractile proteins, etc. Many important nitrogenous compounds like porphyrin, purine, and pyrimidine are produced from amino acids. So these nitrogenous compounds are producing from the amino acids. About 10 to 15% of body energy requirement are met from the amino acids. The amino acids are converted into carbohydrates and fats. The coming to the catabolism of amino acid occurs in 4 stages. So as we know very well about metabolism, the metabolism is 2 types, anabolism and catabolism. The anabolism is nothing but the synthesis of the compound, and catabolism here is nothing but degradation. So here we are reading about catabolism of amino acid. That catabolism of amino acids is occurs in 4 stages, that is transamination, oxidative deamination, ammonia transport, and urea cycle. So what is mean by transamination here? So see here, the transfer of an amino group from amino acid to keto acid with the formation of new amino acid and a new keto acid. So here the amino group is transferring from one amino acid to another amino acid, and it is forming a new amino acid and new keto acid. So this can be catalyzed by a group of enzymes is called as a transaminases. So these enzymes also called as aminotransferases, because here the amino group is transferring from amino acid to keto acid, and a new amino acid and a new keto acid is forming. As these are the transaminases are catalyzing the reaction, that is the transfer of amino group. So these enzymes also called as transaminases. And these enzymes are dependent on a cofactor that is called as a pyridoxal phosphate. So these are the enzymes is present in liver, kidney, heart, brain in a adequate amount. Then coming to the transamination reaction, see here, this is the alanine, this is amino acid, and this is the alpha ketoglutarate. So here what's happening in transamination, the alanine containing amino group is transferring to the, see here the transamination means the transfer of amino group from amino acid to keto acid, then it is forming a new amino acid and new keto acid. So here this is the alanine, this is the first amino group containing amino acid. So it is having a amino group and it is transferring to the alpha ketoglutarate, that is the keto group. It is having to, this is the keto amino acid. So and this amino group is transferring in the presence of alanine transferase, and it will be converting as a glutamate, and this alpha ketoglutarate is converting as a, I mean to say this alanine is converting as a pyruvate, and this alpha ketoglutarate is converting as a glutamate. So as it is a transamination reaction, here the amino group is transferring from amino acid to keto acid, and it is forming a new amino acid and new keto acid. So the silent features of transamination reaction, all transaminase enzymes is required on cofactor, that is the pyridoxal phosphate. So here no free NH3 is liberated, only the transfer of amino group is happening here. So this transamination reaction is reversible reaction. There are multiple transaminase enzymes which vary in substrate specificity. So there are multiple transaminase enzymes are there. So those transaminase enzymes are varying in a substrate specificity. So aspartate transaminase and alanine transaminase, here AST and ALT is nothing but aspartate transaminase and alanine transaminase make a significant contribution for the transamination. So the transamination is important for redistribution of amino groups and production of non-essential amino acids. It diverts excess amino acid towards the energy generation. So the amino acid undergoes transamination and finally concentrate nitrogen in glutamate. So the glutamate here undergoes oxidative deamination to liberate free NH3 for urea synthesis. So here the glutamate is undergoes oxidation deamination and it will liberate the free NH3 for urea synthesis. All amino acids except lysine, threonine, proline and hydroxyproline participates in transamination reaction. Here it involves both anabolism and catabolism, since this is the reversible reaction. Then this is the example here. So amino acid and keto acid, it is converting as a keto acid and again amino acid. So this is the alanine and alpha ketoglutarate, it is converting as a pyruvate and glutamate, and aspartate and alpha ketoglutarate is reacting and finally it is converting a oxaloacetate and glutamate. So this is the reactions of the transamination. Then coming to here, glutamate collecting point. See here, alpha ketoglutarate, whenever it is reacted with alpha amino acid, so this alpha amino acid is converting as a keto acid, and this alpha ketoglutarate, this is the keto acid, and it is converting as a glutamate, I mean to say amino group. Okay. Then coming to here, so this is the entire transamination reaction. Here, amino acids from ingested protein, and this amino acid undergoes transamination reaction. Then it is converting as a glutamate. From this glutamate, the NH3 is releasing. That NH3 is helpful for the synthesis of urea and some other amino acids like alanine and pyruvate. And then coming to the mechanism of transamination here. So this transamination reaction will be occurring in two steps, that is step 1 and step 2. So the transfer of amino group from amino acid to the coenzyme pyridoxal phosphate to form a pyridoxamide phosphate, and here this amino acid 1 is converted to keto acid 2. So see here, coming to the step 2, amino group of pyridoxamine phosphate is then transferred to a keto acid 1 to produce a new amino acid 2, and enzyme with PLP is regenerated again in this reaction. So coming to the clinical significance, so the enzymes, these enzymes which are responsible for the transamination reaction is present within the cell, and these are released in cellular damage into the blood. And for increasing the level of alanine aspartate transaminase, it leads to the myocardial infarction, and increasing the both aspartate transaminase and alanine transaminase is released to the hepatitis, alcoholic cirrhosis and muscular dystrophy. Then coming to here, transdeamination. So the amino group of most of the amino acids is released by a couple reactions called transdeamination. So this transamination followed by oxidation deamination. This transamination always followed by the oxidation deamination. The transamination takes place in cytoplasm. The amino group is transported to liver as glutamic acid, which is finally oxidatively deaminated in the mitochondria of hepatocytes. Coming to the deamination, the removal of amino group from the amino acid as NH3 is deamination. Deamination results in the liberation of ammonia for urea synthesis. The carbon skeleton of amino acid is converted to keto acid. Here the carbon skeleton of amino acid is converted to keto acid. Deamination may be either oxidative deamination or non-oxidative deamination. This deamination again two types, that is oxidative deamination and non-oxidative deamination. So the only in liver mitochondria containing glutamate dehydrogenase enzyme which deaminates glutamate to alpha ketoglutarate and ammonia. So for catalyzing the reaction, like to convert this glutamate to alpha ketoglutarate and ammonia, it needs a help of coenzyme, that is NAD+, nicotinamide dinucleotide. So it is an allosteric enzyme and it is activated by adenine diphosphate and it is inhibited by GTP. Then coming to the oxidative deamination. So oxidative deamination is the liberation of free ammonia from the amino group of amino acid coupled with oxidation. So the site of oxidative deamination is in liver and kidney. Oxidative deamination is to provide NH3 for urea synthesis and alpha keto acid for a variety of reactions including energy generation. So the role of glutamate dehydrogenase. The glutamate is a collection center of amino groups. So this glutamate is rapidly undergoes oxidative deamination. So this oxidative deamination is catalyzed by glutamate dehydrogenase enzyme, which will liberate the ammonia. So that ammonia will be helpful for the synthesis of urea. So it can be utilized either coenzymes like NAD plus or NADP plus. This conversion occurs through the formation of alpha aminoglutarate. This is the intermediate amino acid in this reaction. So this is the oxidation of glutamate by glutamate dehydrogenase. So here the L-glutamate is there, and this in the presence of glutamate dehydrogenase enzyme. So this is like with the help of these coenzymes like NAD plus and NADP plus, it is converting as a alpha ketoglutarate by forming one intermediate amino acid, that is the alpha immunoglutarate. So see here, alpha L glutamate in the presence of glutamate dehydrogenate is converting as a alpha immunoglutarate. This alpha immunoglutarate undergoes again in the presence of glutamate dehydrogenase enzyme. It is converting as a alpha ketoglutarate, and also it is liberating this ammonia. It will be helpful for the synthesis of ammonia, synthesis of urea. And coming to the metabolic significance, so this is a reversible reaction, and here both anabolic and catabolic reactions are occurring, and this reaction is mainly regulated by the glutamate dehydrogenase enzyme. And here the zinc containing mitochondrial and allosteric enzyme, this is containing zinc and this is a allosteric enzyme. It consists of 6 identical subunits, and it possesses the molecular weight that is 56,000 Daltons. Coming to the allosteric regulation, so GTP and ATP are the allosteric inhibitors, and GDP and ATP are the allosteric activators here. If energy is decreasing, oxidation of amino acid will be increased, and steroid and thyroid hormones inhibit this glutamate dehydrogenase enzyme. Then, so this is the glutamate, and in the presence of glutamate dehydrogenase enzyme, it will be converting as a alpha ketoglutarate, and it also liberate this ammonia. Then coming to the amino acid oxidase, the L amino acid oxidase and D amino acid oxidase, these are present. These are the enzymes. These are the amino acid oxidases, L amino acid oxidase and D amino acid oxidase. The flavoproteins and cofactors are FMN and FAD. So it will be act on corresponding amino acid to produce alpha keto acid and NH3. So the site of amino acid oxidases presents liver, kidney and peroxisomes. So the activity of L amino acid oxidase is lower than this D amino acid oxidase. It plays a major role in amino acid metabolism. So oxidative deamination of amino acid, the L amino acid, in the presence of L amino acid oxidase, it will be converting as a alpha keto acid and NH3. So this can be catalyzed by coenzyme, that is FMN. Here this FMN is converting as a FMNH2 and FMNH2. Then coming to L amino acid oxidase, acts on all amino acids except glycine and dicarboxylic acids. The activity of D amino acid oxidase is higher than that of L amino acid oxidase, as we have discussed earlier. Okay, so L amino acid oxidase activity is less than the D amino acid oxidase. The D amino acid oxidase degrades D amino acid in bacterial cell wall. So the fate of D amino acids, the D amino acids are found in plants and microorganisms. They are not present in mammalian proteins. The D amino acids are taken in the diet and bacterial cell wall, absorbed from the gut, and it oxidase convert them to respective keto acids. So this D amino acid is converting as a respective alpha keto acid here. Then the alpha keto acid undergoes transamination to be converted to L amino acid, which participate in various metabolic pathways. The keto acid may be oxidized to generate energy or serve as a precursor for glucose and fat synthesis. So here the metabolic fate of D amino acid is this one. Here the D amino acid, in the presence of D amino acid oxidase enzyme, with the help of this coenzyme, that is the FAD, it is converting as a alpha keto acid. So this is the reaction occurring in this occurring. So here D amino acid, in the presence of D amino acid oxidase enzyme, it is converting as a alpha keto acid. So this is the alpha keto acid, again in the presence of transaminase enzyme, it is converting as a L amino acid, and finally it is releasing energy, that and it will be helpful energy. Non-oxidative deamination. So this is the direct deamination without oxidation. So here oxidation will not be occur. So directly deamination will be happening. So here it can be catalyzed by amino acid dehydratase enzyme. So the serine, threonine and homoserine amino acids are the hydroxy amino acids. These will undergo non-oxidative deamination and non-oxidative deamination, which is catalyzed by pyridoxal phosphate dependent dehydratase enzymes. Non-oxidative deamination, here the amino acid serine, threonine and homoserine in the presence of dehydratase enzyme with the help of pyridoxal phosphate, it will be converting as a respective keto acids. Amino acid desulfhydratases, those are like cysteine and homocysteine undergoes deamination, which is coupled with desulfhydration to give a keto acid here. So this is the reaction. So cysteine in the presence of desulfhydrase enzyme, it is converting as a pyruvate. So the cysteine is the amino acid in the presence of this hydratase enzyme, it is converting as a keto acid, that is the pyruvate. So then coming to the deamination. So deamination of histidine, this histidine in the presence of histidase enzyme, it will be converted as a urocanate. Here the amino group is removing from the histidine. So it is liberating this amino group, then it is converting as a urocanate. Then coming to the urea cycle. So this is the urea cycle. This is the urea cycle. So this is the last and final step. So this is the urea cycle. So here, this is the urea cycle. The first is the carbon dioxide and ammonia in the presence of carbamoyl phosphate. It is converting as a citrulline. This citrulline in the presence of this citrulline with the help of this. See, this is the carbon dioxide and ammonia in the presence of carbamoyl phosphate synthetase enzyme. It is converting as a carbamoyl phosphate. This carbamoyl phosphate, so in the present is this carbamoyl phosphate is converting as a this is the starting step in this urea cycle. Here, this is the first reaction. So this is in the presence of ornithine carbamoyl transferase enzyme. It is converting as a citrulline. So this citrulline in the presence of arginosuccinate synthase, it has to form arginosuccinate. Here the addition of one amino acid will be takes place, that is the L-aspartate. Then after this is the third step in urea cycle, and coming to the fourth step. So here what arginosuccinate is formed in third step. Then this arginosuccinate in the presence of arginosuccinate lyase enzyme, it is converting as a L-arginine. This L-arginine in the presence of arginase enzyme, by the release of water and urea, it will be converting as a L-ornithine. So these are the 5 steps are involved in this urea cycle. So once again here, carbon dioxide and ammonia is condensing in the presence of carbamoyl phosphate synthase enzyme. It is converting as a carbamoyl phosphate. This is the first step. Then here in the second step, so this is the carbamoyl phosphate in the presence of ornithine carbamoyl transferase enzyme, it is converting as a citrulline. So this citrulline in the presence of arginosuccinate synthase enzyme, by the addition of aspartate amino acid, it is converting as a arginosuccinate. This arginosuccinate in the presence of, by releasing the fumarate, it is in the presence of arginosuccinate lyase enzyme, it is converting as a arginine. So this arginine in the presence of arginase enzyme, it is converting as a L-ornithine. So this L-arginine in the presence of arginase enzyme is converting as a L-ornithine. While converting this arginine to L-ornithine, so there is a liberation of water and urea. So in this is the urea cycle. The urea will be synthesizing here. So as we have discussed catabolism of amino acids, so these are the reactions like transamination is one reaction and deamination is one reaction. In this deamination, oxidative deamination is there and non-oxidative deamination is there. Then again decarboxylation is there. So after that urea cycle. So see in transamination, so the first one is transamination. second one is deamination, third one is decarboxylation, and fourth one is this is the synthesis of urea. Okay, so then here, so this is transamination, means the transfer of amino group from one amino acid to one amino acid to keto acid, and it is forming a new amino acid and new keto acid. The deamination here, there is no transferring of amino group. The removal of amino group will be takes place in this deamination. Then this is again two types, non-oxidative deamination and oxidative deamination. Then again coming to decarboxylation. So the removal of carbon dioxide group, we will tell the decarboxylation. And again coming to finally urea cycle. So this urea cycle, here the urea will be synthesizing from synthesizing by these 5 steps. The first one is carbamoyl phosphate formation, and the second step is citrulline formation, and third step is organosuccinate formation, and fifth step is arginine formation, fourth step is arginine formation, and fifth, while converting this arginine to L-ornithine, in the presence of arginase enzyme, there is a liberation of water and urea. So this is the, like this the urea will be synthesizing. So these all are the, this is the amino acid metabolism. So you should remember here what is amino acid, and what is mean by protein, and what is the amino acid, and what is the metabolism of amino acid, and the metabolism again is two types, like catabolism and anabolism, and so here we are reading only catabolism. So the catabolism of amino acids are 4 stages will be occurring. Those reactions what we have discussed, those are like transamination, deamination, decarboxylation, and urea synthesis. So the decarboxylation we didn't discuss here. We have discussed only transamination and deamination. In the deamination, oxidative deamination and non-oxidative deamination, and urea cycle. So this is the full metabolism of amino acids. Thank you. So this is the metabolism of amino acids. Thank you.